All right, Ben. Well, appreciate you taking a few minutes of your day. Awesome to see you again. And yeah, again, I guess we appreciate the partnership with you. And gosh, I feel like I've known you for many years, but I'll be honest, we really kicked it off a year ago, the day almost on a,
Well, that's
a
that's
rainy golf day.
that's the beauty of golf. It brings people together, whether it's the best or the worst out of them. Somehow, it's always been the worst out of me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got to play golf, and again, we were excited to work with EventConnect, and I think some of our needs in the industry, you guys just came right in and offered a simple solution for us. And excited to just continue to develop that relationship and see what we can do to enhance our events,
Yeah.
further our resource for our community. That's being a smaller destination. It's always what value can we bring to the community outside of just economic impact? It's like, hey, what services can we provide, or how can we work with our hotels to educate them? And so, yeah, it's been a good partnership.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, one thing I've really started to learn from you, and I guess I find every CV sport commission, we're all like-minded people.
Yep.
They all have the same passion of sport tourism, putting kids in sports, hotel rooms. But I learned a lot from you on how you've taken it, in my opinion, to another, owning events, supporting events. Maybe talk a bit about your day-to-day with Grand Junction.
Yeah, I think partly my background really has pushed me on this path of we're a standalone nonprofit and a sports commission, which is kind of unique for our smaller destination to have a full sports commission that's standalone. But again, my background had been on the event production side,
Right.
and it was almost that idea of if you put a bid out and no one comes in, can you do it yourself, or can you rally enough local resources to make it happen? And that's kind of we've kind of fallen into that track. Obviously, there's a COVID situation, which I know was devastating to so much of the industry, hotels, rights holders, everyone in between. But kind of from a local perspective, there was a couple local rights holders that owned events that just said, hey, we can't continue this. We can't take that risk. Is this something that the sports commission is interested in continuing? And so I was like, yeah, I know it comes with more work up front. And I mean, I have in my office a stapler that's bent. It was heavy duty steel that was bent because it may have slipped out of my hands at 4 a.m. in the morning out of frustration. And I won't go into the whole story, but it was kind of a sign of like, man, we put a lot of work in to make some of these events happen, especially coming out of COVID. But I still have that. To me, especially for smaller destinations or mid-size, it's a good balance of own events and operate them, because it gives you security. It gives you the ability to flex on those events as you need to.
Yeah.
And obviously there's revenue opportunities there as well. But then you still need to bring in those events that highlight where your community is. And again, Grand Junction, beautiful place, love the area. I was guilty of never visiting there before I actually moved there and took the job.
Okay.
And so I try to say that I mean, I was only 3 or 4 years now of being in Grand Junction, but I mean, I love the area, and to me, it's got so much potential. But for me to come to these conferences and trade shows and try to show people what Grand Junction has it's tough to do just with words. And so obviously there's visuals and things, but when I talk about the events that we have and our involvement in the community, I think it showcases, okay, this is actually, they're not just a small town in the middle of nowhere. We are on the western side of Colorado. We border Utah. We've got a completely different environment and culture than the Front Range, Denver, Colorado Springs. But the amenities that we offer are kind of unmatched in the state. I mean, the exposure to the outdoor, to having 70% of our area be public lands. There's just so many small tidbits of, in my opinion, amenities that make events great, that we can offer some of these rights holders. And so there's plenty of events that don't fit. They just flat out too big or not the right time, or accessibility is going to be a hard thing for them. But then there's some events that we focus on the events that we can do and we can do well. And a great example of that is the JUCO World Series. I mean, it's happening in Grand Junction, Division I Baseball World Series. NJCAA has been in Grand Junction every year since 1959.
Holy smokes.
And they've signed another 25 plus 30 years commitment. So it's going to stay there. And it's one of the events that our community has just rallied behind. There's baseball fans, there's non-baseball fans. People know that when JUCO World Series comes, it's a kickoff to summer. And we try to use that as much as possible to showcase the level of hospitality we have, why Grand Junction is a special place. And so, but yeah, to me, it's always been that balance of, if we can own events and operate events ourselves, it gives us security, it gives us flexibility, it gives us kind of a steady income or steady stream of events. But then there's those big ones that we want to bring in and really highlight on a national stage of what we got out there.
Well, I kudos to you on that, because your stapler story resonates. I've put on events in the past, and
Yeah.
I think that's one thing, being more, I guess, a layer of the tournaments and knowing some fantastic event owners. It's really learning the different challenges, the day-to-day. It's the things you can't control, like weather, to schedule changes that you need to do. You can only do so much till the event happens. So again, kudos to you for taking on both, because it's a big undertaking, I bet.
Yeah, it is. And I think one of my challenges, this is my first time working with a true nonprofit and reporting to a board of directors. And I could talk until I'm blue in the face of the amount of work that goes into the events, but sometimes they just don't see it. Of you're in the office at 4 a.m. trying to get stuff ready for an event that weekend, and weather, and like you said, all these things come up that just make it so hard. And one of the big events was exactly what we were talking about. It was an outside rights holder that came in, was really tough to work with, was really challenging from a financial standpoint. And so we said, hey, here's kind of your options. Work with us on this, or we're not going to support the event.
Sure.
He chose the latter, and then we ultimately decided to kind of recreate that event with our own flair to it. But now all the effort that we're putting into it's staying in Mesa County in Western Colorado versus going to an outside community. And certainly the PR that comes with that is tough. We had some people that weren't thrilled with our decision at first, but I think after a couple of years, people have come around and said it's a really good opportunity for the local sports commission to be running an event that has a direct impact, obviously the economic impact, but then the intangibles, the level of commitment to nonprofits in the area and opportunities that we're providing for our residents. Some of that stuff is just really hard to track, but it's been great to build that relationship with our community. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I think, people ask all the time, like, why are we in this industry?
Yeah.
Usually there's a love for tourism, a love for sports. And yes, our jobs are to create that economic impact, and that's our job, is how many room nights have been sold. But we were reminiscing earlier, it's like, why else are we in it? It's to make those communities happy, whether it's the volunteers or, a key thing we always talk about is how happy are those teams that are engaged, having great experiences at those events. And that's probably what gets us excited, or we have the big staff shout outs, is when we hear those cool stories. Is I just went to a great event in Grand Junction, and what a great spot, and the event owners treated me like gold. And thank you for you guys for being a part of that, an extension of that. That's what I think why we're in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, I think the networking that we get to do, and like you said, Matt, we played golf together one time last year, and now it's like we're old buddies from high school kind of thing. And so I think the level of relationships that we've built in the community, and to take it a step farther, is you're now able to use those relationships to better impact your community. Like, for example, and I get the chance to bring up Joel Lamp first, but like I actually called Joel for advice on putting in bids, and it's not a direct competition. I'm sure if there was a bid that he was going after, he would send me off course and tell me to do something wrong. But no, I mean, completely respect him, great friend, and just that openness of if I can do something for him, will not hesitate, and likewise, if he can do something for me, will not hesitate. And that list is endless in the sports tourism industry, of whether it's partners with EventConnect, whether it's rights holders, Adam Andresco, Artistic Swimming, and Rick Mack with Aces. I mean, all these different people that are so willing to help you impact your community. So no longer am I just bringing dollars into Grand Junction. I'm now being an advocate for, hey, this is some of the best practices across the country, and we can implement them in Grand Junction because of the relationships we have.
Well, speaking of working together, your own podcast here. I mean, I think that's something that's pretty awesome what you're doing there, and you got some very like-minded, proactive people, in my opinion, that you can consult and well respect in the industry. So maybe a little shout out. I mean, Sheree does a wonderful job on that. I think you have Cassie on it. And of course, the famous Joel. If you don't know Joel, it's unfortunately he's not here this week, but maybe a little explanation of why you guys are doing that.
Yeah, and that was actually, like, the idea kind of came about at U.S. Sports Congress last year in Richmond, and to be honest, it happened at 1 a.m. at a cookout restaurant after we were both had a good night of some beverages, and then decided we needed something to eat. But it was the idea of, hey, we're all willing to talk about things openly, and obviously we're not going to talk about stuff that would put us in a negative position, but there's a lot of information that can be shared, and that was the idea of, hey, what's a good way for us to, from an unbiased, neutral, kind of open idea, how can we present some of this content and ideas to the community? And again, I mean, it's a very amateur production, as I'm sure people have heard, and we've got recordings where people call in and our Joel's phone rings and we have to stop the podcast and restart it, blah, blah, blah. But no, the idea just was formed of not saying we're any kind of special people in the industry, but just our experiences. If our experiences can help someone else, that's the crux behind it. That's why we started to have this conversation, make it really informal. We would love to just be a resource if we can for people. And this is what we've experienced in Grand Junction or Huntsville or Spokane or Fort Worth. I mean, we try to get different sized communities in different parts of the country to have a little bit of something for everybody. But yeah, it's been fun. And again, we've got some great people from the industry that have come on. Lou Mengsall, for example, came on and talked about Sports Congress, and we've had different rights holders and conference people, things like that.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So going in, I know I find this conference is a good time to see good people, take a little deep breath, and go into 2024. So any big goals for yourself in 2024 or big events coming in?
Yeah, I think from my position, when I started in November of 2020, right after kind of the COVID was full force. Again, Western Colorado, take the politics out of it, but we'll say that we came back from the COVID pandemic pretty quickly, pretty aggressively, and honestly, given our natural geographic position with our outdoor recreation in Western Colorado and Utah, we survived COVID fairly well from a hotel standpoint. We had a lot of people that was one of the few things you could do was go outside, explore, hike, all that stuff. And we had a lot of our hotels took a dip, but not nearly to what the national average was. So basically, we were set up to really come back aggressively. Our county had done a great job of kind of creating some policies that would allow us to get back to business as best we could. There's obviously a lot of restrictions on things, but we were able to start back up. But ultimately, that led me to just hit the ground running with events. And so the first year, I don't think I had much planning time. It was really just produce events, make them happen, get things back. And so, and with that came some growth. And so now after almost 3 years, I feel like we're in a position of now we can actually start setting the plan for the next 3 to 5 years. And then we're in the midst of doing a strategic plan. And we've got some good ideas that we're going to discuss. We're going to present internally with our team, get them committed to by our board, and then to kind of take it to the community and say, hey, here's a role we can play. Here's what we can do. With that, I think one of the few things that I've been focused on in the most recent weeks and months was kind of our national events that we can bring into Grand Junction. And there's a couple bids that I have out there that I think would be big wins for us. And so we're hopeful that they come through because, again, very unique, not necessarily the mainstream youth sports because, again, we don't have the amenities that are set up to really support youth sport tournaments coming in. So we have to be kind of creative. But then to couple that with local event, Grand Junction Rides and Vibes, mountain bike and music festival that we now produce. Last year had almost 30,000 people come through downtown Grand Junction. Huge economic impact for our community. But now that's an event that we can continue to grow, make the small changes to make that better and better. But long answer short, I feel like I'm starting to catch my breath on being in this role and now having that long-term vision of where we can go as an organization, what services we can provide for our community, and really how to have the most impact on our region in Western Colorado. So
awesome. Sounds awesome. And maybe putting you on the spot a bit with this one, but we obviously as EventConnect like to always take feedback on how we can continue to grow and support our partners, being event owners, teams, the hotels. Any advice or areas you think we should be focused on going forward?
No, I mean, again, I would say our partnership with EventConnect has been now going on year 3 and kind of started as the registration piece and evolved into the hotel piece. And again, I think what have been most impressed by is your willingness to work with us at whatever that looks like. And I think the registration piece has been very straightforward. The hotel piece, we took that idea to our hoteliers. They came back with kind of a very different approach. And so we reached out and you said, I mean, without question, yeah, let's do it. We'll figure out what that looks like. So no, I think it's great for us to know that if we have questions, we have comments, or kind of hearing from our hotel, because they are big partners to us. It's not a big destination where we have 40 different properties. We have 10 that we work with almost for everything. And we want to keep that relationship as strong as possible with those 10. But from that standpoint, no, I think the open line of communication with EventConnect has truly been one of the most impressive things that I've gotten to experience. And so I think just to continue that relationship of check-ins and, hey, is there something that you didn't like with this event specifically? And I think that's we all talk about a lot of the generalizations for events and things like that, but certainly there's always unique situations that come up, and just to know that we have that line of communication of, hey, for this event specifically, we need to do something a little bit different, maybe something different on this event. But
Sure, yeah.
no, I again, really appreciative of that relationship. Certainly the line of communication has been truly impressive, and really excited to say we're driving more and more stuff to our area, and our partners are a big reason of making that happen. So other than just kind of keep making sure that Grand Junction is your preferred destination across all destinations, no, I think you guys have been a great job, and we're really appreciative of that. So
No, it's I appreciate you saying that all. I think that's one of the fun parts of EventConnect. There's many fun parts, but learning from our partners, and with all the events going through, every event's unique. Every partner has different challenges or opportunities they're going with, and we're just continuing to, like, I'd say, customize workflows. It's like, yeah, we got to make sure the hotels are happy, the event owners are happy. We can't just have a out of the box specific plans. Let's work together and figure out that plan that you can best use the system. And you think of it, there's no one partner that uses the system every single part. So how can we customize that and still make everyone successful as best as possible? It's the things that get you excited talking about it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we're excited for a good 2024 and beyond, and I think again, excited to have EventConnect beside us on that journey. So
awesome. Well, we appreciate your time. Awesome seeing you again, and hope we get on the links here very soon.
yeah, thank you.